WOCA.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this morning. You know, later on we're going to talk about pop culture and how movies have influenced the things we say, etc. And one movie that I really don't include in on the whole pop culture category is Schindler's List. I was greatly affected by that movie. Not that I hadn't already known about the Holocaust and the horrible things that happened at the hands of the Nazis in World War II. But there was a scene at the end of the movie where Oskar Schindler is looking at his golden ring. And for those of you who know the story, without me taking up all the time to tell it to you, just I'll assume you know it, he realizes he could have saved some more Jewish lives if he had cashed in that ring and used the cash to kind of what's the word when somebody's kidnapped? Pay ransom. Pay ransom for the however many Jewish people he could have paid for with that money. There was another scene even after that where the actors and actresses who played in the movie were pushing the surviving people that they played, the actual people they played. Remember this?
Yes.
At the end of the movie, they were pushing them up to the grave of Oskar Schindler, and they were putting stones on the grave, which is a Jewish tradition of respect. I don't know a whole lot about the tradition, but I know it's an act of respect, and it's a way of showing love, I guess. This morning, there's a news headline on the CNN website that says, "I grabbed my children and ran. Families flee ISIS in Iraq." As you know, ISIS is taking over some towns in Iraq, and trust me, if you're Jewish or Christian, you're not going to live if they take over.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, we need to remember the Holocaust. That's why we need to remember the Holocaust. That's why movies like Schindler's List are so important. That's why this book we're going to talk about made you cry, Robin. The book is called The Oath, and it is a powerful book. It's written by our guest, Dr. Stephen Robert Stein. He is an amazing author. He also has been working as an orthopedic surgeon. He's a researcher and historian. This is a historical novel, but we're going to find the details out right now when he's speaking to us. I felt like there was one more thing I wanted to say.
I wonder if he's still there, because the other line's ringing.
Oh, really? Doctor, are you there? No, he's not.
The other line's ringing.
No, he's not.
Oh.
Okay, no, Doctor, no. Oh, man. So he didn't even hear the intro. But anyway, so we'll wait for him to call back. There was one other thing I wanted to say, though. Gosh, I can't remember. But anyway, the book is called The Oath, an historical novel about the Holocaust, Operation Paperclip. And I never heard about Operation Paperclip before. The Operation Paperclip, let me just get to that part, is explained as...
You want me to call him?
Yeah, we might need to.
All right.
Yeah, I don't see him on there. The Oath intertwines the lives of Dr. Katz and Secret Service Dr. Bloch, who both survived Auschwitz and the war to practice medicine in the United States, never losing the stains upon their souls. Katz is a respected Jewish-French surgeon captured by the Nazis, volunteers to serve at Auschwitz, believing he can protect his wife and children from the gas chambers. Is that you, Robin, or is that him?
That's him.
All right, let me go right to it. I think this is Dr. Stein. Good morning. Is this Dr. Stein?
Yeah, this is Dr. Stein.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? I'm on my cell phone now.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't hear you at all before because I was doing the intro, and yeah. I don't know what you heard about the intro, but I don't want to repeat it. But one thing today is Holocaust Remembrance Day, and I've already kind of illustrated why it's very important to remember the Holocaust. Your book is outstanding, by the way.
Thank you.
The Holocaust Remembrance Day actually started last night because it's following the Jewish tradition of a day beginning at sunset. So it runs through sunset today. And Dr. Stephen Robert Stein is on the phone. His book is called The Oath. All right. Where are you, Doctor?
Right now I'm in New York, where we came to New York for a few days to enjoy the sights.
You know, I think you probably didn't hear the intro, but just to reiterate this part of it, I think it is so important to remember that we can be at the mercy of a few if we let it happen. ISIS is the next Nazis, it looks like to me.
Well, it's true. There's always a group of people that act as the Nazis did and as ISIS did. They try to put over their own desires in life, and they'll kill people just to get there. And but I think the Nazis were far worse. They had an organization. They had a bureaucracy. This was set up over a period of years. They had a conference, the Wannsee Conference, which talked about the elimination of the Jews. Interesting enough, at that conference, they didn't even use the word to kill, but it was all implied in their statements as they went through it.
Wow,
And
horrible.
And it was organized. It was an organized death of a large group of people, and it was horrible. It was horrible.
Absolutely. So tell me about the oath. What I want to know specifically is the historical facts of this. Are the characters real characters? Is Dr. Katz and Dr. Block, are they both real people?
They are based on real people. They are fictional. But the stories and the history that I went through are based on actual things that occurred in the camp. There was a Hungarian pathologist named Nishli, Niyyislzi, and he was sent to Auschwitz, and Mengele picked him out of the line and said, "I'd like you to do autopsies. You're a very famous forensic pathologist." So Nishli did these. He wasn't dressed in camp garb. He wore a suit and tie, wore regular clothes, and he did these experiments and wrote a book. Not experiments. He did the autopsy and wrote a book about it. And in his book, there was an absence of emotion. And that led me to say, how can you feel this way? How could you do these things in the middle of all of these horrible experiments that they're carrying out and not have any feeling of it? He apparently saved the lives of his family. In my book, Dr. Katz thinks he's going to save the lives of his children and his wife. So that character is based. And then there was the antagonist, a man named in the book named Hans Block, is based on a Dr. Hubertus Stughold, who came to the United States under Operation Paperclip, in which we brought scientists such as Werner von Braun over. We brought them shortly after the war, keeping them out of the Soviet hands. And Stughold became famous in this country as the father of aviation medicine. He did the same chilling studies that you read in the book, where they immersed prisoners in cold water. He did these at Dachau.
Wow.
He came over to this country,
Wow.
and we had an award named after him. And just about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, the award was put away. Stughold had died many years ago, but his past was brought up again, and they got rid of the award for aviation medicine in his name.
Wow.
And we did this, and I don't know how many doctors in total that were brought over. My character is based on that. The story is different, but it's based on that truth.
Okay, and that's a story I don't think I've ever heard, nor have I ever heard of Operation Paperclip. Now that's a real operation, right?
There was a real operation. There are several books written about it. Most recently, I don't recall the name of the new author, but this has been written about over the last several years.
Okay.
And it occurred. It happened.
So is that what that was? Is that whole? Is that what Operation Paperclip was? Was getting the doctors who could help out so were the Germans actually it sounds like they're actually recognizing something that is contrary to what their philosophy was. Their philosophy was that Jewish people weren't even people, and weren't even capable of having any brains. We had this discussion the other day about one of Einstein's.
Nemesis.
Yeah, nemesis. Thank you. That's a good word. And the reason he didn't like Einstein was because he was Jewish. Mm-hmm. That was the only reason.
And the Jews held in Germany, many of the Jewish professors held the highest posts at the university. In fact, in 1930, the mayor of Berlin was Jewish. The Jewish population of Germany wasn't very big. It was about 3% of their population. But the people had important jobs. And actually, when all of the things came out from the German government, taking away the citizenship of Jews and not allowing people to be treated by Jewish doctors or go to Jewish attorneys, and the Jewish professors lost their jobs, there were always those that were willing to step into their jobs. And that's what happened.
Wow.
And it was,
Doctor, your book made Robin cry. And I've never seen that before. So that's a testament right there. We need to take a little break, and we'll be right back. The book is called The Oath. I want to make sure that we're fair to the book as well as to the story of the Holocaust, which it's too big to get across in an interview at all, whether it's an hour or half hour as ours is. Mm-hmm. But we'll take a little break, and we'll be right back with Dr. Stephen Robert Stein. The book again is called The Oath. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Times of clouds and sunshine for today. We'll have a heavy thunderstorm around from late morning on. Warm with highs of 85 to 87. Partly cloudy tonight, low 68 to 70. Variable clouds tomorrow with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm and highs of 85 to 88. Intervals of clouds and sunshine, high 85 to 88 Saturday. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Heather Zayer.
My name is Erica Olstein. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine at A Better You Healthcare's Pokin' for the People Community Acupuncture. Join us every Monday at 4 p.m. for a relaxing and therapeutic community acupuncture session with like-minded, health-conscious individuals from our community. Pricing is only $35. Group sessions involve yoga breathing and acupuncture for the benefit of stress, anxiety, and depression. Unwind and start your week off right. If stress is leaving you a mess, you need a checkup from the neck up. When you're feeling blue, come to A Better You. A Better You Healthcare, just behind the Paddock Mall on 27th Avenue. For further details, visit abetteryouhealthcare.com or call 615-5566. Again, that number is 615-5566.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Skip ice cream and have gelato. Yeah, it tastes rich because it's denser than ice cream. Gelato, you should know, has half the fat of most ice creams because it's made with milk, not cream. Go ahead and order the pad thai. Just stick it in the fridge. Eat the cold leftovers the next day. You want the resistant starch. Punctuality is one of the most difficult behaviors to change since it's deeply rooted in a person's personality.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Join a tradition of artistic excellence by submitting an artist application for the 34th Annual Downtown Festival and Art Show. The Arts Festival will be held November 14th and 15th in historic downtown Gainesville. This is a great opportunity to display and sell your art to more than 100,000 visitors. Applications for the Downtown Festival and Art Show are available upon request at 352-393-8536 or online at gvlculturalaffairs.org.
Hi, this is Brad. I want to take a moment to talk about a serious issue. In the next 5 years, the aviation industry is projected to have a shortage of commercial pilots. Now is the time to start training. Ocala Flying Club has started a scholarship for the youth of Marion County ages 17 to 24. The club will donate up to $4,000 towards a pilot's license. This will help get the student on their way to obtaining their commercial pilot license. If this sounds like something you would be interested in, or if you know someone that would be, please contact Ocala Aviation Services, 861-7484.
All right, 10 minutes now before 8 o'clock. Wow, time flies when you have a great interview, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see. We have on the phone Dr. Stephen Robert Stein. His book is called The Oath. It's an historical novel about the Holocaust's Operation Paperclip, and hopefully you understand what that is. I'll ask him to repeat that. The Intertwined Lives of Dr. Katz and SS Dr. Block. That's Secret Service, right, Doctor?
No, SS was the name of it stands for a German name of the organization. It's a long
Oh, okay.
It's not Secret Service, no.
Okay. Anyway, they both survived Auschwitz. When we had a guest on who was talking about some of the prisoners in the concentration camps were put into the showers, knowing that sometimes there was gas and sometimes they got water. And we had a guest, and she had a famous connection, right, Robin?
Yes.
And her book was called "We Got the Water" because her experience, or her parents' experience, or her grandparents, was that they went into the showers and got water and not gas. In your book,
Really?
you have a survivor of the gas chambers. Were there actually any survivors?
There were survivors. There were survivors, but usually they would survive. The Germans would take them out and just kill them right away. And in this particular one, obviously, we didn't. We allowed Dr. Katz to try to save her until after the liberation of the camps. But there were people that survived. And at the beginning, when the trains arrived at Auschwitz, Mengele stood up there and he raised his hand and he pointed to the right and to the left. If he pointed to the left, the people were put onto trucks and taken over to the main camp at Birkenau, where they were put in line to go to the gas chambers. They were told they were going to have showers. And so obviously the fit men who were going to work made one line, and then the ladies and the children and the grandparents and the older folks went into the line and went directly to the gas chambers.
Wow. One of the, I don't know if you heard the intro because we got disconnected, but one of the things I remember from the Oskar Schindler movie, Schindler's List,
Right.
was there was a Nazi on top of a building smoking a cigarette, and he had his rifle, and he saw one of the workers just sitting because he was getting so tired, and he just shoots him. He's done. He's not working, so he shoots him.
There was a unwritten law at the camps that the guards could punish prisoners any which way they wished to. And they could shoot them and they could kill them.
One of the most emotional parts of the book was when Larry had brought up the character of Tamara when she and her mom were being loaded into the into the cattle cars, and her mom sort of had a premonition as to what was going to happen to them. Her mom was praying to God and said, "Dear God, just let me hold her close just one more day," and that really, really got to me because the mom knew what was going on, and the little girl didn't.
Yeah, she knew, and that is sad. And unfortunately, when the roundups of Jews started in the ghettos or the cities, they couldn't believe that the stories they heard. They said no, they would not do that to us. They would not kill us in concentration camps. Those are all lies. And many of the Jewish families believed that people wouldn't do that to them, and which is crazy now. You look back and you see this was an organized plan to exterminate a Jewish population of Europe.
And isn't it ironic that the plan to exterminate Jewish people from the face of the earth led to the world deciding that Jewish people needed a state of their own, as they did in biblical times, and now we have this nation called Israel, which of course ISIS and many of the people in the Middle East want to eradicate. But isn't it interesting or ironic that the movement that really catapulted the world to say, you know what, we need to put this Israel thing back together, was the very thing?
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic?
Well, they wanted someplace to be protected, someplace that we could have our own country to protect ourselves, and that's why they stand so strong in the events of today. One of the things that I think I should mention to you is how I got into this book, because it was interesting, if you're willing to listen to this. When I was in Arizona in practice, I was on the board of medical examiners. We were the disciplinary board and for physicians, and we had a doctor come before us. He had a German accent, that English German accent, that white hair, and I opened up his file, and he had a great big swastika stamped on his diploma. And the diploma read,
wow,
graduated from the University of Kiel, May 3rd, 1945. Now, that was 5 days before the surrender was signed. Kiel, Germany was a U-boat repair base, and half of the city was destroyed during the war, and this man could not have been graduating on that date. So I thought he was a phony. And I looked further into his records. He had changed his name once he came to the United States, changed his name, and I tried to get a newspaper reporter interested in looking at trying to write a story about it, and he wasn't interested. And so I said, well, maybe I'll write a story. About 3 years later, I'm on an airplane flying from Phoenix to Los Angeles. There's an attorney sitting next to me. And I'm sort of telling him about my, what I'm going to do. I've got a book that I'd like to write. And he says, I have a client you ought to meet. He's a German doctor. It was the same man.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So,
and then I went and I've interviewed him twice. And I believe he is still alive. I can't say his name because I'm sure I'll get sued. But I've interviewed him twice, and I do not believe he was one of the Nazi doctors. I think he was a poorly trained physician, and that's why he ultimately had his license taken away. But isn't that interesting?
Oh, wow. Do you know, my grandparents fled Germany in 1925. And my grandfather in 24, my grandmother and my mom, who was a child, and her brother in 25. They fled because of the work conditions being so poor.
Yes.
And then, of course, their son, my uncle, went on to fight in the same war that was with Hitler. Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting, isn't it, that they fled?
Yeah, sure.
But they had family still over there, and some of that family was in the German army during World War II. And I can remember as a child saying, does that mean they were Nazis? And it was very, very, I wasn't allowed to ask that question. No, they weren't Nazis. Wow. They were soldiers. They were Germans. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm an adult, I say, of course they were Nazis. They had to have been.
Yeah.
That doesn't, I mean, I don't know what that means about those people. It just means that I guess every man had an obligation. He had to be in the army.
They were drafted just like during the war, our men were drafted.
Yeah.
And they served their country. And not everybody joined the Nazi Party, but, they probably had to do things that the Nazis told them to do, or the SS told them what to do.
Yeah.
And it was a horrendous time. And, in Germany, the people there suffered as well. I don't know how many million Germans were killed during the war. And when we had the bombing of their cities and the carpet bombing of Dresden and things like that, hundreds of thousands of people would die in a night. So it was, war is just painful.
But I think why it's important to remember that people who probably were, I'm going to assume they were good, at the core, but they're forced into this service that is horrible because of the leader who is horrible, and that's important to remember. I mean, if you have a horrible leader, we have this beautiful thing in America called the Constitution.
Yes.
Where we're not supposed to have one person in charge. We're supposed to have this whole collective thing. Anyway, if ISIS ever decides to take over, or we ever elect somebody who happens to be a supporter of that, that would be the most horrible thing. Or if any nation decided to do that.
Yeah, but I think, fortunately, we'll never have that happen. Honestly,
I think you're right, and I hope you're right.
We'll take care of those people.
You have 5 stars on Amazon, and I'm sure you're going to get lots more 5 stars. Nobody has given you anything but a 5-star review so far, so that's awesome. The book is called The Oath. We have a copy of it here. It has a few tear stains on it from Robin, so that makes it a collector's item. Call me if you want the one that was sent to us, and you can have it. The rest of us have to go buy it, though. And Dr. Stein, if you can give us a website. I know it's on Amazon, so.
Yeah, the book is on Amazon. It's on Nook, Barnes and Noble. If the stores aren't carrying it, they'll order it, and it's really print on demand. Somebody orders it from Amazon or from Barnes and Noble, and they'll get it very quickly because it's a print on demand kind of process.
Oh wow!
It's available as an ebook on Kindle, and that probably comes immediately. So I think it's available out there, and I would love everybody to read it. I welcome feedback. I have a website. It's StephenRobertStein.com. And you can make comments on the website. I appreciate anybody making comments to Amazon. I think.
Right. Let me give this copy away. Good morning. You've got this copy. Who's this?
Mike McCoy.
Mike, you've got the book. It'll be waiting for you here at the studio.
I appreciate it, guys. And let me make one comment, if you don't mind. If you want to read another book about another Holocaust, read the Rape of Nanking.
Okay. I will.
The Rape of Nanking.
All right, we are at the end. We have to say goodbye. Dr. Stephen Robert Stein, thank you so much for being on the air. Have fun in New York, and I wish we could have spoken longer. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be right
Fox
back.
News Radio, I'm Joe Chiro. He says he was trying to draw attention to campaign finance corruption. Doug Hughes landing a gyrocopter onto the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol yesterday.
Change the government to build a wall of separation between the government and big money so that government will represent